What's up, all you beautiful slugging people? Steven Adams Jr., your league commissioner, back again with another weekly recap. Wasn't able to get Week 10's recap out. My bad. That's on me. But we got Week 11's recap here without any quotes. I don't have any quotes. I was getting some complaints from a certain manager who will remain unnamed, but he knows exactly who he is. So I just didn't do them. I'm just kidding. No, there's no shade here. I was lazy. I didn't get it. So you're just getting the gamely recaps, no quotes from the players. So that's what you can expect here. So our first game of Week 11 is Kangaroos at Mangiones. This was a game where the Kangaroos were heavily favored over the Mangiones, and I mean like heavily favored. And the Kangaroos started off with a 4-0 lead, which was looking like the game was pretty much over. The Mangiones sometimes, a lot this season, have been struggling to get any offense going. But Funky hits a home run with Grey Guy on, I think, second base to make it 4-2. Bottom of the third is when a slap fest started for the Mangiones, and they just could not stop finding the base. They were always on base. They couldn't stop finding the base, and they made it 7-4, taking off in this game. And then the game would inevitably end 10-8, where the Mangiones looked really, really good and really comfortable hitting, but the Kangaroos did not look comfortable at all, defensively or offensively. Even though they scored 8 points, it was like a rough 8 points from the Kangaroos. Especially in the past weeks where they've been scoring double digits. This is crazy, and to lose to the 6th seed, that could be very telling. I don't know. But yeah, this was the worst showing from the Kangaroos all season. Ritter was the only bright spot. You would not hear that from the Kangaroos manager, but he was the only bright spot. His home run would get a little something going for them towards the end of the game. Really, the only reason that they finished with 8, in my opinion, and the only reason that the Mangiones didn't finish with 20 is because of Ritter. But ultimately, Mangiones won, and that's a huge momentum boost for them. Next, we had Noodlers at Browntown, and this game had a lot of animosity heading into it because the Noodlers just traded Yellow Pianta to Browntown, and Browntown has not really gotten a lot of value out of Yellow Pianta. And the Noodlers are coming off of a huge win against the Rings in Week 10, where they completely upset the Rings. I mean, it was crazy. It seems like D-Day's advice finally got through to them, and him being like, hey, let's bring a lot of energy to these games that we did in the last inning against the Mangiones. Last 2 innings against the Mangiones. Anyways, and they are keeping this energy. They started off hot. The Noodlers got 7 runs in the top of the first. The Browntown team did not score any runs until the bottom of the third when they got 3, and that was the last of their offense. This game ended in the top of the first. Ultimately, the game ended 14-4, and the Noodlers just completely dominating and looking like they won the trade, even though they're not using Baby Mario or CJ at all. They put in Monty Mole. It seems like Yellow Pianta was holding the team back somehow, and now he's holding Browntown back even more, which is just kind of crazy to think about. That they ended up winning that trade, and now they have a 4th round pick that's going to be very early on because we were doing snake drafting for after each season. Season 1 it made sense because nobody had a certain draft pick, not a certain draft order, but now we're just gonna do like the NFL draft, which means that the Noodlers are winning this trade right now tenfold. Anyways, Mogman ended up being the MVP. Oh, and Red Yoshi was the MVP for the Kangaroos game. I forgot to mention that. But this was a great game for the Noodlers and a horrible game for Browntown as their struggles continue, losing 8 in a row now. Next, we had DDP at Rings. This is a rematch of Week 1, and DDP somehow upset the Rings in Week 1. A very boring game, but exciting in the fact that the previous champs lost to the new team in the league, 2-1. So this time, the DDP were favorites. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Even though the Rings are playing better now, DDP were the favorites. And the Rings took a 1-0 lead, which is great. And then at the bottom of the third, DDP takes a 2-1 lead. A lot of slap hitting going on right here. No really big plays. Everyone was kind of on their toes at this point. And then top of the fourth, Birdo hits a 3-run home run, which just about sealed the game. The game ends 5-3. Birdo and Green Guy shared the MVP. But the Rings looked good. Like, they weren't scoring a lot, but they were getting quite a bit of hits. Their defense was really good, really locked in. They're not making the same mistakes that they've been making, even though they're the 5th seed right now. They look like a comfortable 5th seed, which I think is the most important thing here. And DDP was struggling per usual. The babies make it really hard to do anything good on this team. Any efforts that Daisy has or any of the knees usually gets subsided by Baby Peach or Baby Daisy or Baby DK making an awful hit and an awful choice. Was it much to this game besides that? A little boring. The Rings, not the most hated team in the league this season, but they don't always play the most exciting ball, especially against a team like DDP, who also does not play the most exciting ball. Then we had the Simians at the Vermonsters, and this game, well, there's not really too much to say about this. The Vermonsters were just straight dominant throughout this entire game. I think that there's only 1 or 2 innings where the Vermonsters didn't score a run, which is wild to say. I mean, like, I'm sorry, there's just not much to say about this. The Simians struggled to get any offense, any defense going. And they didn't get any points until the 8th inning, which is the second game in a row where they no points have been scored by them until the 8th inning. Actually, no, I'm wrong. This is their first time in 17 innings getting points. Is the 8th of this inning. Just to tell you how dominant the Vermonsters defense was here. And K. Rill hits 4 home runs this game, which is really wild when you think about that. And other than that, yeah, this is just a one-sided game. The Vermonsters looked really good, and there's not a lot of complaints that you can say about this Vermonsters team, because they've lost 2 in a row, and they came back and they were dominant against a team that they should have been dominant against, and that's all you can look for. And same with the Kangaroos going into next week. They should dominate the Monsters. That's what they should be doing. And if they're not, maybe we're seeing the decline of the Kangaroos. But this isn't about the Kangaroos. It's about the Vermonster Simians, which was a pretty boring game unless you love seeing one team go off. If you're a Vermonsters fan, I would recommend watching this. If you're a Simians fan, I'd recommend not watching this. And if you're any other fan of any other team, I'd recommend not watching this one, because this one is just the Vermonsters going off and off and off, and K. Rill getting 4 home runs and some egregious plays, but mostly it was just the skill of the Vermonsters here. Next, we had the Monarchs at the Monsters, where the Monarchs willingly went to Bowser's Castle, but apparently it worked out for them. Anyways, the game started out 1-1, with both teams managing to find runs really early on. Some good slap hits from the Monarchs got them to 3-1, and then the Monsters put on some really good defense and started slap hitting the hell out of the Monarchs and brought the score to 4-3. A lot of back and forths very early on in the game, which was amazing. More points were scored throughout the whole game, and in the bottom of the 7th, or bottom of the 8th, maybe, the score was 10-4, 10-3, and King Boo is on the home plate, getting ready to swing, and Bowser has the chance to pretty much ice the game, but he throws a regular pitch, it's a strike. He throws his star pitch, 2 strikes. He could easily get King Boo out. Or my bad, King Boo did not have bases loaded. But anyways, that's besides the point. He doesn't throw the star pitch. King Boo hits a home run, which ends up making it 10-8, which is crazy. Crazy. King Boo, one of the best Monarchs players this season. Didn't really do much last season, but I mean, this season he's really going off. Him and Gray Guy are just an insane combo, and Blitter and Shohei and Blue Madge doing some crazy things on this Monarchs team. But then the top of the 9th, Bowser redeems himself and gets a 2-run home run to make it 10-10. Bottom of the ninth, all they have to do is play some really good defense that they were playing around the mid-game. Shohei gets on. Blitter tries, but can't really get anything going. Or no, I think he gets on. I think Blue Madge gets on. I don't know. I'm forgetting exactly. But the point is, Gray Bones hits a slap hit to bring Shohei home, and the Monarchs win 11-10. Gray Guy gets the MVP in an amazing game. Constantly the lead was constantly changing. I'm starting to lost for words just thinking about this game. It was one of the best technical games we've seen this season. I don't know if it is game of the year. I think that might go to Noodlers Mangiones, possibly. But this is one of the better games of the year, where it was just two teams with a lot of hate towards each other, just duking it out and trying to get something going here. And the Monarchs are looking pretty legit. They've won 4 straight now. 3 of their wins were against pretty easy teams, but the Monsters are not the easiest team to beat by any means. I mean, they're top 3 in the league, and now the Monarchs are 4th. So the Monarchs might just be legit this season, which is good for every Monarch fan out there. Anyways, let's get into the box scores. Per usual, I'm going to show you the top 20, but I'm only going to talk about the top 5. So if you want to see the rest of the top 20, just pause the video. Anyways, at 5th, well, tied for 5th is Bill Pianta and Green Dry Bones at 1,050. Both of those players playing incredibly well. Blue Pianta, one of the better Monsters hitters right now. In 4th, we have King Boo, deservingly at 1,110. Single-handedly won them the game, if we're being completely honest. DK at 1,170 in 3rd place. I mean, crazy. He's the only reason that the Simians really even have, like, a chance, if we're being, like, completely honest. In 2nd, we have K-Rule at 1,235. Fell out of the top 3 recently, barely in the top 5, but he's cementing himself back in that top 3, looking for Petey. Still pretty far behind Petey, as Petey's first place is 1,540 box score. The GOAT of the box score. But still, my front runner, as I'm not supposed to be biased, is DK. There's talk of DK for MVP of the league right now, just because of what he's doing for this Simians team. Now we have a look ahead to Week 12, where it's going to start out with the Rings at the Vermonsters. Finally, we have a rematch of the finals from Season 1. Who knows what could happen? We don't know. The Vermonsters never beat the Rings in the regular season once. Only in the postseason during the finals did they get 3 wins and then choked. But that'll be a great game, and that's the first game of the week. Then we have Simians at Mangiones, which, knowing how Simians games go out, might not be that great of a game, but we'll just have to see. Maybe an easy win for the Mangiones. Maybe a tough win for the Simians here. I don't know. Then we have Monarchs at Browntown, a rivalry of the ages. The Monarchs were the only reason Browntown, formerly known as the Morbidly Obese, didn't make it in to the playoffs during Season 1. So this will be amazing. Browntown crushed the Monarchs earlier this season, but things have changed since Week 1 drastically. Then we have Monsters at Kangaroos. This should be a great game. The Kangaroos, who hopefully aren't falling into a hole here and struggling, facing a Monsters team who has a lot to prove right now. And then the final game of the week is DDP at Noodlers. Co-managers versus co-managers here. Heated rivalry. Last time the Noodlers walked away with a win. Can DDP thwart the Noodlers comeback here, or will the Noodlers just keep on this comeback, keep winning, and threaten the Mangiones for that 6th seed? And finally, let's go over all of the standings, because I forgot to do that. Coming in at 10th place right now, or the 10th seed, is Browntown at 3-8 with a negative 32-point diff. Their fall off, again, has just been one of the greatest things that I think I've ever seen in sports history. The Simians are 3-8 at negative 24. They're competing with Browntown right now for worst team in the league. Both are pretty bad. I would like to say Browntown is a little better, but the Simians did beat Browntown earlier in the season, so they're ahead of them in that regard. Then we have DDP at the 8th seed, at 4-7 with a negative 23-point diff. amazing that they have 4 wins, if I'm going to be completely honest, and one of them is against the 5th seed right now in the Birdo Rings. Anyways, at the 7th seed is the Nate Noodlers at 4-7 at -33. They're above DDP because they beat DDP earlier in this season, so they win that head-to-head there. The Mangions are 5-6. They are your 6th seed. They have a -7 point diff. They don't really have a comfortable 6th seed right now, because they are being threatened by the Noodlers. If they can win this week against the Simians in hope that DDP wins, I think that they will have a comfortable seat as the 6th seed, but we'll just have to see. Then the 5th seed is the Birdo Rings at 6-5. They have a +2 point diff. I think they have a comfortable 5th seed. They are looking pretty good. They are going to drop some more games this season for sure, but I think that they are not going to lose that spot. And if they do, you can come back to this recap and say, you were wrong, Steven. You were wrong. You stupid commissioner. You don't know anything. At the 4th seed, we have the Monarchs, who are 7-4 with a -0.2 diff. Orential, they're looking to finally have a positive point diff, which they've never had in franchise history. Maybe they can get it this week. I don't know. It depends on if they can beat Browntown. At the 3rd seed, we have the Bowser Monsters at 7-4 at a +22 point diff. They are ahead of the Monarchs because of the point diff here. They are tied in a series 1-1 right now, so we'll just have to see where the point diff can take both teams. The Vermonsters are 8-3 at a +35 point diff. They are the 2nd seed because the Kangaroos are the 1st seed with an 8-3 record and a +58 point diff. It's just a point diff right here. They are tied in a series. The Vermonsters won earlier in the season, and then last week the Kangaroos beat them. Or no, in week 10, Kangaroos beat them. So we're going to have to see how week 12 really mixes things up and how it changes the league going into the final weeks here. We only had 15 weeks planned, but now we have 16 weeks to kind of match last season. So we'll have to see how all of that affects the whole season as it unravels here, and we'll see how the playoffs will be affected by these upcoming weeks. I'm your commissioner again, Steven Downer Jr. Thank you for tuning in to the Week 11 recap. Sorry I don't have player quotes. Those will return in Week 12. Week 12 should happen tomorrow, which means that later tomorrow night on Monday, the game should be uploaded, or on Tuesday, they might be uploaded. Anyways, have yourselves a great day. Tell your loved ones that you love them. Tell your friends that you love them. And I'll see you later in the next Sluggers games or the next recap.